Hello, welcome to what used to be the final episode of 2016, but it turns out it's the very first episode of 2017, since we're recording this on the 1st of January. We've had scheduling problems, let's just call it that. People got sick, I got sick, Enrique got sick, and Jamie got super fucking sick. He got sent to the hospital for a bit, right?
Yeah, it was great fun.
Weren't you self-medicating, though?
Well, they filled me up with IV drip and then just gave me loads of tablets. That's what the NHS is
They gave him a
It's
Kindle
amazing.
Fire and an iPad.
Did they kick some lower middle class dude out of the hospital so you could have a bed?
I hope so.
Did you get your own room, like just you? Because that accent, you're posh as fuck. So.
I'm not posh as fuck.
Oh no, of course you're not, my dear. Hello, Jamie.
I had the big suite at the top of the hospital.
Very
Wow.
good, very
Did you
good.
go fox hunting? Was that included in the brochure?
Did you have one of those bells that you could violently shake
you're gonna want one of those,
whenever
that's for
you were low on, I don't know, fucking vitamin tablets, whatever the hell they give you for food?
Yeah, I was fed grapes and there was someone with a massive feather that just fanned me.
The big fur fan.
Terrible. Enrique Cancel, hello. How's it going, dude? You're
Hey.
sounding markedly better than you did when we last spoke.
Yeah, I tried getting on the podcast last week, and I was on the verge of death.
Yeah, you
apparently,
sounded terrible.
Didn't work out.
Last week when we tried to record this episode, we managed to get Enrique on, but both me and Sam, I think, we both lost confidence in the entire endeavor once Enrique opened his mouth. You were sick. You were so sick. I don't think I've ever heard a more sick person than you last week.
Yeah, it sucks because I don't actually get sick, but I get sick about once a year, and I think it's just every little microbe that builds up over the years just attacks me at
Man
once.
flu is what we call it.
Nobody
There
calls
you
it
go.
that.
So that was super fun.
Yes, they do.
Just let them have this.
Oh,
Damn,
that's
Americans.
right.
It's a new
That's
year.
right.
Sam,
Yeah. Hey, what's up?
hey, how were the holidays?
Oh, so good, man. So nice.
Yeah, got some cool presents or?
I got a Google Home thing. That's pretty fun.
Oh right, yeah. Is that actually any fun? Does it really add something?
It seems like it. I mean, you could tell it to roll dice and stuff. You can play blackjack with it.
Oh,
Yeah, I got
you get, like,
few.
3 of those?
My whole family got one. There was just like a ton of them, and I had to set them all up. Thanks, family.
So we have like
well,
one
they
in every
took theirs
room.
with them, but for a while we did. Yeah.
all right. So
Yeah. Sorry, there's just not much more to say. I mean, it's interesting. It's cool. It's fun. But it's
Yeah, well,
not,
what
like,
does it
awesome.
actually do? Because I'd imagine you can just plug it into the wall and then, I don't know, link it to devices in your house.
Yeah, it'll tell you the weather. You can turn the TV on and play photos and tell jokes. And did I say the roll dice thing? Yeah, it does that too. Set timers. Just like a lot of stuff that's not interesting with me here saying it, but like in the day-to-day operation of things is kind of cool.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so sorry again for the delay, but scheduling conflicts, people got sick, and now we're here. Hopefully, we're going to release it on the same day as we're recording this. So if you get the notification on the 2nd of January, contact me because I fucked up. Before we get into the categories, we have to go back and look at 2016 in gaming. And these are a few deep cuts. For instance, Call of Duty went into the future, into the far, far future, whereas its main competitor Battlefield threw itself back to the comfy trenches of World War One, a move that turned out to be the right one once the game hit stores. I don't know if you guys played it, but I did play a bit of the campaign, and I played a fair bit of the multiplayer at a friend's place. And Battlefield is really, really doing something right by going back to the First World War. I don't know if you guys played it.
I did not play it. Sorry.
I did not have a chance, but I heard really good things
really
about
cool.
it.
They still use an engine that they use for every single EA game, and it scales so well. Like even on consoles, Battlefield 1 looks absolutely amazing, and it runs at a stable 60 frames per second, which is impressive more than anything else.
I
Was
think
it
Frostbite engine?
3, the engine they even use for FIFA, but apparently it can be used for everything. another game. Oh, go on.
I mean, so their engine's great. I mean, it's not like Bethesda where like you could see like their engine's starting to show its age. I mean, Frostbite 3 is like
yes, it is
pretty amazing.
Please don't mention that engine in the same breath as Bethesda, which can't do anything right, even if you outright tell them what to do. So, moving on, Sony released its updated PlayStation 4 Pro. Many people now wonder why they ever wanted it in the first place. This year, people are looking forward to Microsoft releasing Project Scorpio, or, quote, the most powerful console ever. But that's not really all that impressive when you think about how powerful the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 actually are compared to mid-range PCs. But still, I'm wondering how many... What do they call it? A fucking teraflops or something they're going to put into the machine.
Yeah, is the Scorpio like a new Xbox, or is it basically like an Xbox One? It's
slim? It's the PlayStation 4 Pro of Microsoft consoles. It's just a half step in this generation, which might actually be the last, if some industry analysts are to be believed. So,
yeah, I don't remember if it was for Microsoft or Sony, but one of their execs actually mentioned that this is probably the end of the console age, just because the advancements in technology are pretty much, they're so limited now that they're better off just going towards just PC gaming in general.
It seems logical to me to get an installed user base and use that installed user base for as long as possible, and elongating or ending console generations and just giving people access to all the games no matter what they buy. That seems to be the right way to go. I don't know. Doesn't sound too bad, but let's just see what they have. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't really impressed by the PlayStation 4 Pro at any point, and I don't think anybody else was either.
No. I got a buddy that got it. From what's in the sound of it, it makes a difference if you're enjoying like PlayStation VR, or if you have like a 4K resolution display. You can actually notice a little bit of a difference, but it's marginal enough that the majority of the population isn't really going to see like that much improvement.
The talk surrounding the PlayStation 4 Pro sort of died down about 2 weeks after it was released. I get the feeling.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. What else happened? Pokemon Go. It dragged us out of our houses for extended periods of time this summer, and that marks the very first time millennials actually fucking did something proactive in their lives.
Yeah, but like every New Year's resolution to get healthy, it only lasted a few months.
It only lasted about a month and a half. Don't give it more than that. Thankfully, we came to our senses before summer was over, and now we're all back indoors, slumped over the couch like the lazy bastards our parents think we are. So that's a thing that happened.
I called it.
You did.
That's true. Yeah, you actually saw it happen long before it actually happened.
You know, it was actually really awkward, bit of a tangent. So Pokemon Go was really huge when it first launched, and I guess after it started dying down, Niantic announced that they were going to allow for sponsored Pokestops, where businesses could basically pay Niantic to show up on their, I guess, the in-game GPS as a Pokestop. So a lot of businesses tried doing that. Like Starbucks decided to do that. So Starbucks actually invested a lot of money to make all of its stores a Pokestop. But they did this. When did Pokemon Go release? Like early summer, right? So they made this big push in October. So by the time like that whole Pokestop thing released, the game was already dead. So there was no like buddy worth.
Is it really dead though? Because like, is it released in China now, or
it's still making a lot of money? Like it still has a big user base. It's just not as prominent in like
you don't see
Facebook and Twitter and all that sort of stuff. It's more like people are just playing it silently now, rather than just like
you don't see entire groups of people just walking around looking at their phones trying to catch Pokemon. Now they just walk around, look at their phones, and that's basically it. So
shit.
No Man's Sky also happened this year. And it soared into the charts after a multi-year-long promo campaign. It ended up being one of the most successful games of the year when it comes to the financials and stuff. Still, they're still working on the game, aren't they? At least I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, they released that update about a month ago, which, I mean, props to them for doing so. They could have just taken the money and ran, especially with all the mutual they were getting after the fact.
That's not how that thing works.
Oh no, they totally could have. They released the game. There was no contractual obligation for them to keep working on it.
I think that would have been career suicide, though.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to them, but they kind of pretty much, the game itself is career suicide. the way the launch went.
Yes, yes and no. I definitely agree that it should have been handled differently, and they outright lied about a ton of stuff, which led to consumers buying into a promise that was never going to be delivered on. But on the other hand, I admire them for their commitment to fixing it, or at least they seem to be committed to fixing it, right? So that's one
true.
thing we could be happy for or thankful for, I guess. Thank you for fixing your $60 game that you did not finish when you released it.
Well, I mean, Peter Molyneux had a long and successful career. The difference is he never bothered to go back afterwards and fix the shit he lied about, so...
That is true.
If there's nothing you're going to take away from this special, it's that Peter Molyneux fucked it up even worse than Sean Murray did, and don't you ever forget it.
Yeah, and you people still get excited about, like, Fable and shit, so...
Well,
Give Sean Murray another chance. That's right. That's my message.
I don't know, dude. Like, it's Molyneux, now it's Murray. We shouldn't really listen to British people in gaming anymore. I mean, we've been heard twice now. I think that's enough. All right, halfway through the year, VR became once again a thing. Like, it was hyped up to be the next thing, big thing in gaming, and it was spearheaded by Oculus, which is owned by Facebook now, and HTC with the Vive they made in conjunction, I believe, with Valve. And neither of those two actually were the success that people wanted it to be. It took until Sony released the PlayStation VR for people to actually buy the fucking things. And now there's a broad variety of tech demos just waiting to be explored and leaving most people to wonder where the fucking games are. We're a year into this and there's still, there's that Eve game.
There's a grand total of 2 on the PlayStation
Eve's
4.
Valkyrie.
What was that? Come again?
There's a grand total of 2 on the PlayStation 4. There's Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is VR compatible, which I'm not sure what that actually means, like what the extent of that is. And then there's Resident Evil 7, which isn't actually out yet.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Those are the only 2 like proper full games that you can experience on VR on PlayStation.
Oh, fantastic. That launch lineup reminds me of the launch lineup of the PlayStation 3 and 4. All right, Bethesda continued to earn its title as the absolute worst company in gaming by releasing Skyrim again to score some brownie points after the terrible Fallout 4 release on PC late last year. And Bethesda also tried to force out the game's media by no longer sending out early review copies to outlets because, they said they wanted everybody to experience the game at the same time. And we're saying that, they actually mean we don't really want you warning anybody about the quality of our games. And then they released Dishonored 2, which sort of proved the point, right? It was terrible. The PC version is terrible. I've seen benchmarks that people who have computers with $2,000 worth of hardware in there and it just can't run the game well. I don't know. You just don't do that. Plus, Bethesda, fuck off, please. Go back to wherever the hell you came from. Bethesda, probably.
Yeah.
Before this turns into another tangent on why I dislike Bethesda, let's move on to a developer I really do like. That's Blizzard, and they launched their first new IP in over a decade, which means we finally have the Team Fortress 3 we all knew was never going to be released by Valve, so that's cool. Overwatch quickly turned into a phenomenon that unified gamers in their efforts to move the fucking payload to the destination, which we could have done if that Hanzo picked a healer like we asked him to for about 30 seconds before the match started.
Can we get a...
Hey, it's okay. The payload heals you.
Please?
Why is it always the Hanzos and the Genjis? Why is it always those two?
Hey, sometimes it's the way to...
Look, man, if I don't get my picks, I'll switch. Just hang on.
I mean, so much so that they actually ended up making a sniper healer because obviously that wasn't enough.
That's so good. You leave her out of this.
And that was really cool. I really did like her. By the way, this was not, of course, this wasn't an exhaustive list of all the games that happened in 2016. Some things will undoubtedly be discussed later in the show, while I'm just going to mention some other things. The Counter-Strike skin gambling buggery was hilarious from a really weird perspective, because they sort of collapsed that entire industry in like a week. Which was hilarious to see. And Sam, as somebody who has been doing a bit of gambling on skins and stuff, what's your take on that?
Bummed out.
Bummed out.
Bummed out. Super bummed out.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Well, like the issue with that though is that the game was actually like that whole gambling scene of it. Gambling is technically illegal in several, at least in the U.S. and several states. And with the prominence of esports, there was actually businesses popping up that were trying to find like creative legal loopholes to allow for online gambling. And I think once that started happening, people started kind of like it started getting the wrong kind of attention. They're like, okay, this is going to become an issue we're going to have to deal with eventually.
And deal with it, they did.
Here's how you deal with it. Just let me bet money on stuff. What's the problem?
Well, you could just move to a different state where it's legal.
Maybe. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's the actual shutting down that's the problem.
You just want them to stop shutting down your gambling websites.
I wish that like Overwatch skins were tradable and I could do that. That'd be good.
Oh my god, no! That would open up a whole world of hurt.
Yeah, it would attract like a whole new group of people, but people I probably won't really want in my game.
Just sanction that shit. Sanction it and make it official. Let me bet loot boxes on Overwatch matches. I don't see what's hard about that.
Maybe you should write to Blizzard to give them that idea. All right, one other thing I will mention before we move on to the actual categories is the rise, well, rise is a big word, and subsequent fall of digital homicide, the shovelers of the shittest shitware you've ever seen.
And extra large testicle.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Don't include that in the shit pile, please. Because that's gaming genius.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
It's really big, dude.
All right, compose yourselves. You doing all right? All right.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some categories. Now, these categories are completely arbitrary. None of it really matters. We won't even declare a winner. This is just an excuse for us to talk about games that we really, really liked over the past year. And the first category we're going to talk about is best visuals. Should we just go game for game, or do you want me to mention them all first and then discuss them after?
I don't... Yeah.
Yes.
Good. All right.
Just do what feels right.
All right, let's start with No Man's Sky. Whatever you think of No Man's Sky as a game, and this precious little game to be had there, the game looked rather striking, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure. The game looked beautiful,
Yeah.
regardless.
What was the influence Murray said that they had? It was the Isaac Asimov novel things, I believe. They wanted to recreate the feel of an 80s sci-fi novel, and I think that they did that really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, for all its faults, I mean, the game had like a great visual and just ambient like presence in general. Everything from taking off a space station to landing on the planet, to just exploring around and seeing random wildlife pop up. I mean, overall, like the game just looked great.
Definitely. And due to its visual style, it made it really easy to get yourself immersed in the game, at least for the first 10 or 20 hours. It just looked great. It looked retro but futuristic. Like it's just a fantastic looking game. It's very vibrant, beautiful colors everywhere. It was great to look at.
It definitely looked like one of those like 1960s sci-fi book covers.
Like really cool.
Like a cover for an Asimov or Bradbury compilation, for sure. Easily.
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Asimov is the influence that Murray actually named, I believe. So apparently you did a good job with that.
Must have only looked at the covers. Got it.
I think many people will concur with that sentiment, yes.
Boom.
Oh god, first shots fired, 2017.
Off to a good start. The Witness. I did not pick that game, so whoever did pick that game, explain why best visuals.
Pretty, man. Game looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know why it looks good, and the way that the environment is baked into a lot of the puzzle solving is very pretty as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks sort of cartoony as well.
I haven't played The Witness, but I haven't played it, but I did see like a screenshot of one of the puzzles
you
where
guys
they
didn't
show.
play one of the best games of 2016.
I did not. I'm not gonna lie. So the reason I didn't play it was because I looked at some of the screenshots and while it looked really pretty, it looked like most of the puzzles were just like the
They are. That's the whole point.
Puzzles.
That's the whole point.
It just seemed like a really high price point for that. It just seemed like a really high price point for that. I'm sorry. All right, I'll take your word for it.
They are all like that. They are all like that, though. But it's variations on a theme that makes the creativity stand out. And just the way that you can walk a little bit in any direction and end up in a different place. Very nice, too.
Hang on for a sec. Somebody's working their way through all the excess firework they've got left over from yesterday. But he's been doing it for a solid 30 seconds.
Maybe it's an accidental one.
Oh,
Maybe it's
that's
one of
too
those boxes.
soon.
It's like
a fireworks factory in Holland blew up a couple of years ago. It's still a pretty raw point for many people. Not for me, though. All right, I think he's done. Cool. Unravel. I mean, it's pretty easy to see why it's in this category. That game looks fantastic.
Yeah, the game's gorgeous.
Did you play it all the way through?
I did, yeah.
And does it get prettier as the thing goes on?
It does, yeah. Like the subtle changes in like the seasons from summer to spring to winter, just makes everything stand out that little bit more.
Yeah. What are you supposed to be playing? You're playing the memories of an old person, right? And then you sort of yarny as a way to inject the player into that story, right?
Yeah, and like you go along and collect like the ghostly images and like pictures of stuff that's happened throughout this person's life.
Oh, got it. Is this like a fucking tale of Alzheimer's? Because I don't know if I can handle that.
I don't know. You might forget. Huh?
Unraveled, Yarny, an Alzheimer's tale.
Oh, terrible people, each and every one of you. Final Fantasy 15. That was you, Enrique, wasn't it?
No, I didn't, but I agree with it, though, because that game does look fucking
That's
gorgeous.
like the prettiest particle effect I've seen this year, or last year, as it happened.
Yeah. Well, the particle effects, and one thing that I really like about it is just the overall aesthetic. I brought this up last time we talked, but with most Final Fantasy games, they do tend to veer towards like the fantasy aspect of it, whether it's sci-fi or like the old Magic Kingdom, and you can always tell you're playing a Final Fantasy game from large, complicated-looking weapons to like the weird-looking monsters to even like the buildings have like that kind of aesthetic to it. But with 15, you have like this really weird imagery where, yeah, you still have all those elements, but they're kind of peppered throughout like a very realistic landscape where, I mean, people are driving regular-made cars and staying in houses and There's restaurants, there's diners, when you start off the game, the first thing that happens is your car breaks down the highway of like it looks like the Route 66. And you have to basically push your car to the fucking gas station, and it looks so humble. And then you step out of town, and then you get mauled by a giant, like skinny tiger with antlers,
Of course.
and it creates this really beautiful, like just atmosphere in general, man. Like I really like the visuals.
Yeah,
for
it looked really great. Plus, I like the fact that you drove around in an actual Audi.
Yes, it's gorgeous. And it's weird because even like traveling to different towns. Yeah, you can fast travel, but for the most part, it's just you can kind of set autopilot and then set the radio and just cruise with your
You
bros.
can actually buy like the soundtracks from all the Final Fantasy titles and just play them over your car stereo, which is a nice detail to add for sure. Yeah. It's a really pretty game. That I like the facial animation and the design of the characters a lot more this time around. I'm not usually that into the Final Fantasy stuff, but it's looking really, really good. Like way better than the older ones do.
Yeah, for sure.
Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I picked this game for best visuals because it looks incredible. I'm a big fan of cyberpunk, and I like how they've managed to incorporate the very modern and even minimalist aesthetic in a city like Prague, which is very old, and you still see many of the old buildings there. It's just the contrast between things that we recognize and futuristic shit that we won't have for quite some time, right? It just looked great. Plus, Adam Jensen's back, and he's pretty much the coolest person ever with the most gravelly voice ever. It's not a visual thing, I know that, but I don't know, it just adds to the character for me anyway. And I don't think Deus Ex: Mankind Divided comes back in any of the other categories, so I just wanted to sing its praises here for a bit. It's just a good game. It is. It's exactly like... what was the one before that? Human
Revolution.
Yeah. If you liked Human Revolution, you'll like Mankind Divided because it's the exact same fucking game to a T. Even the skills are the same. Like everything's the same. But if you like that, get it. Battlefield 1 is... I'm the only one who played it, right?
I believe so.
The game is really, really striking from a visual standpoint. Not just graphically, but the way they present information to you as well, or the way they convey like emotion to you. The very first mission you do in the game, you get thrown into a battle, and you get killed over and over again. Every time you do, you respawn as a completely different person, different name, different place, stuff like that, right? But the visuals are so chaotic and the sound design is so like harsh that you just feel like the wind's being knocked out of you. It's sensory overload essentially. And I think that game really did a great job at conveying what war has to be like if you're on the front lines. It's scary. It's extremely violent to the point where some NPCs don't really fight back. They just stand there looking at you, shaking. It's stuff like that really make that game feel authentic outside of just, being fun to play. But there were a few missions in that game that were so incredibly violent. You were playing, I think, in Italy somewhere, and you wore what was essentially a World War I version of full plate armor, and you had a minigun with you, and you just used that to mow down people left, right, and center. It was so violent, it was so brutal that after me and my mate finished that level, we just had to watch something fun and happy for a while. It's really dirty, right? And it's really realistic to the point where you actually start to feel bad for all the people you're killing because they're constantly hammering on the fact like everyone who dies was a person, I think they did that well. They married that style with the gameplay rather well, and I think it's a pretty good game. So there you have it. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Who played that?
Yes, that was me.
All right.
Naughty Dog have always been like the best at squeezing as much out of the PlayStation technology as they possibly can.
Yeah, upsides of
like
being
the
first
PlayStation
party, right?
3. Yeah, like the PlayStation 3 probably shouldn't have been capable of running Uncharted 3 or The Last of Us, but somehow they managed to get there. And again, in Uncharted 4, they just pushed the PlayStation 4 to its limits and make everything just look as beautiful as possible. And the best thing is, once you complete the game, you unlock like a section of filters where you can like make the game cell shaded, or you can add like different visual effects to it, and I like that a lot.
Oh, all right, cool. Like, does it add anything from a gameplay perspective, or is it just a visual thing?
Sometimes, like some of them, there's like a one mode that makes everything like kind of blue, and then the enemies are red, and it just looks like really basic, and it's just like a 2-color thing, but It looks like nice in a weird way. Like you couldn't play the entire game like it, but switch it on for 5 minutes and have a little play around, and then switch on one of the others. It's good fun.
Is there a big head mode?
There's not a big head mode.
What about paintball mode?
No.
It's an unexpected throwback.
Every game should have a big head mode.
Wasn't that one of the bigger things in Tony Hawk games, right?
I don't know. Probably.
GoldenEye 64.
Yeah, and
I
India
remember
Jam
that.
too. Time Splitters, I think.
Yep,
Oh,
Time
man,
Splitters
that's
had
a
it
franchise I've not really thought about in a very long time.
It's too good for now.
with the weird monkeys.
It's too good for now.
It's too good for now.
What does that mean?
Nobody deserves it anymore.
I'd kill for Time Splitters 3.
Hang on, I'd like to hear some justification for that.
No, we just don't deserve it. That's all I'm saying. We don't deserve it. It wouldn't be appreciated properly. It's too good for now.
Okay. The Long Dark.
It's like Perfect Dark.
All
Yep, that was me.
Is that out of early access yet?
No, it's still. It's got a lot of it updated. I think the last I saw, the developer said that they were actually working on their story
That's what
mode.
they said when I bought
should
the game
be-
2 years ago. So what gives?
Well, the story mode should be releasing this year, and they said springtime. But they've actually added a couple gameplay updates. They added a new map. They've actually done some balancing and adding new like animals and encounters to the game. But just visually, I really like the game. The whole game has like this oil painting feel,
Right.
which goes really well. And like the concept of the Long Dark is basically some kind of electromagnetic event happened that destroyed all technology in the world. and the character you pick gets, I guess, crashes over the Canadian wilderness. So you start off in the middle of the woods, in the middle of a snowstorm, and it's right now it's a sandbox survival game where you basically have to kind of like survive as long as you can. But the story mode will center around, I guess, you switch back and forth between a man and his wife, and they're stranded in opposite ends of the area, and basically finding your way towards each other, discovering what happened. But like I said, the visuals of it, it has like this kind of oil painting feel, which looks very, very nice. And it goes really well with the whole concept of like no technology, because the game relies on like the whole darkness and light thing really well. So when you're out, in the dark, it's literally pitch black. You might have some moonlight. You might be able to see some of the snow, but overall, I mean, like you're seeing a lot of heavy shadows. You're seeing like the white of the snow. It's really breathtaking when you see the sunrise and you're out in the middle of the night in the dark in the middle of a snowstorm. Even when there's a blizzard that blocks out any kind of visual, like up to like a foot in front of you, just the way all that kind of gets blended together, I think it creates amazing visuals for the game, and it's very immersive because of it.
Yeah, that game definitely looks good. I'm looking forward to trying that story mode. I've been waiting for that for a long time because I get the feeling that I need a bit more of a reason to play that game other than survive. You know.
No, I mean, and I agree with it. Like, I know you're particularly very adamant about that, but for me, so far, it's been a really fun game for me just to kind of pick up and play once in a while. Because, like I said, it's a really cool immersive experience. So much so that, like, being out, like, right now that's kind of winterish in, like, the area I'm at, you know, like, when I hear, like, the wind blowing, I'm like, God, I really want to play Long Dark, because, like, those sound effects remind me of the
definitely.
gameplay.
Sound design was awesome, or is awesome, rather. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sort of scared to name the next one because I'm afraid it might send us and Sam most of all into a very deep pit of despair and confusion. Glittermitten Grove.
Oh, that's a fantastic game.
Are you talking about Glittermitten Cove or the game within the game?
Glittermitten Grove. I mean, it's an all-encompassing thing, right? It's not just Frog Fractions 2. Although it's mainly Frog Fractions 2. But very creative use of ASCII to make an entire overworld. Very nice looking. And a good game all around.
Really? Is it really
it's very
a good
pretty
game?
And relaxing.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. It's awesome. It's one of the best games this year. It's definitely got the best visuals for this year.
Oh, no. I know personal opinion and all that. You're allowed to have one, but no. ASCII art never looked good, nor will it ever look good.
There's so many character options you could choose from.
You can even import your Mass Effect 2.
You could be yellow or green or blue, but not and orange. But you have to. That one's a secret.
So you'll have to explain to me the attraction you guys have for Frog Fractions and its subsequent sequel.
Have you played it?
I've played Frog Fractions.
Well, then you understand. I don't have to explain.
No, I don't. Which is why I'm reaching out to you to help me understand. What about the first Frog Fractions makes it so good that people have been searching for the game that contained the second Frog Fractions?
Because it's hilarious and weird and amazingly creative all at the same time. Like, it's not just funny, it's got a lot of really interesting ideas buried in it. Like, game-wise ideas, like little experiments and things.
Right.
It's just awesome. It's just like the whole package, basically.
Would you say it's more of an art project, or...
No, I mean, like, there's real-ass interesting video games in there.
Video game
and especially in Frog Fractions 2. It's quite the looker.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, okay. I got my piece. Let's go.
Yes. Cogmind.
Cogmind has the best ASCII explosions that have ever been in a roguelike ever. There's not much else to say about that. It's gorgeous, man.
Wait, let me just Google that real quick.
Check it out, man. It's amazing looking. There's a lot of interesting stuff about the gameplay to that, but like the look of it is very nice. It's not ASCII. It's sort of tiled ASCII in a way, but the explosions are incredibly gorgeous, and the terrain is very destructible.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer right now. It looks pretty good. Yeah, it is ASCII, but it's a little more advanced than that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And like you blow stuff up, and just they look so good. I just really like the explosions in that game mainly.
Maybe we should have had a best explosions category.
I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah. Overwatch. I think we've we've sang Overwatch's praises more than enough over the years. Oh, over the year, haven't we?
Oh yeah, and that, I mean, most of the visuals for Overwatch isn't, like, oh my god, it's so photorealistic. It's like just
It's not
design.
meant to be. It doesn't. It wasn't meant to be photorealistic. At least I don't think so. If
Character
it was the
design,
idea, they fucked it
world
up horribly.
design and all that stuff.
No, but like the character designs, the particle effects, like with their specials, the ultimates, everything about it in general.
Yeah, it just looks joyful and colorful, comic book-y even. Yeah, it's a fantastic looking game. I'm always, I'm looking forward to finding out what they've been working on next, because everything that they've released so far has been interesting to a certain degree. And
I know there's the big rumor mill about Doomfist being the next character and Terry Crews auditioning
you're
for it.
goddamn right. I mean, we managed to get Trump into the White House, so I guess we can get Terry Crews in Overwatch.
We, as in,
I probably did something wrong by sharing.
is there something you wanted to admit, sir?
What? That I tried to vote on a president in a country I can not physically go to nor live in. But what I'm trying to say is the internet got him into the White House, so we might as well get Terry Crews into Overwatch.
Yeah.
It's the least he could do. It's the least they could do.
Right? Oh, by the way, I'm not really all that into Trump, to be honest.
It's okay, man. It's
I
okay.
felt contractually obliged
Dude,
to sort of state that for the
it's a
record.
new year, man. Don't worry. It's a new year, man. We don't judge.
Oh, I
Especially-
judge more. That's my resolution.
Fuck it. All right, let's move on from talking about politics to the most engaging narrative. And we start with World of Warcraft Legion. Me and Enrique played that, right? Yeah.
Indeed. I still play it,
Oh,
actually.
right. So the story has progressed a bit more.
It has. It's cool. Well, one thing that I like is that you can tell that there's a different team behind the World of Warcraft development now, especially when it comes to like the not the art style, the actual narrative. They released a book last year called Chronicle, which basically redid a lot of the lore for Warcraft, and I guess they're using that as a jumping point to kind of reorganize how Legion's working out the story and everything like that. But they actually did a lot of changes to the gameplay, which is really nice from a narrative standpoint. One thing that I personally love is back in Warcraft 3, you had the little mission boxes that would pop up from like when you're playing the RTS section of it, the single player campaign, where like it's like the talking head comes up with like, dialogue and caption. And they actually brought that into Legion, which is really great, I think.
Plus the voice acting.
it's really
man.
fun.
Tons more voice acting this time around.
Oh, for sure, dude. There's so much more voice acting. The little quests usually have like some kind of background story to them as you're playing. And they're actually making some, some big movements in terms of the narrative where they're killing major lore characters or introducing new people. So it's actually really interesting.
Do you think that World of Warcraft with Legion is in the best shape it's been since, vanilla?
For the most part, yes. There's still some glaring issues, mainly with the RNG system. But, those are paltry compared to like overall how good the game is right now. I think it's definitely at its highest point since Wrath.
Yeah, that's saying a lot, because everybody likes Wrath, at least, most of the people I know. Yeah, World of Warcraft is still kicking after 12 plus years of being the biggest. It's insane that they've been going on for so long, right?
Right. Well, it's also like there's that, not say obligation, but investment that people have on it. A lot of those players they're not new players. They're players that have been playing for a while. So it's a pattern you see every time a new expansion comes out. Everyone comes out of the woodwork, reactivates their account.
But not to this extent,
because
though. It seems like this expansion has more staying power than the ones before. Like people seem to sort of agree that Legion is a really, really good expansion pack. So people keep playing for longer.
Oh, it is. That is true. That's a big difference. So like even though you normally see like those big numbers spike up around the expansion release time, they usually die down within a month or so. But Legion's definitely kind of held its own for a while. I'm
looking forward to the next expansion, which will probably bring back the Lich King, because why not?
Hey, if they keep breaking breaking case of emergency glasses and bring out stuff that the community wants, go ahead.
It always it almost encourages Blizzard to do stuff like this. Like, if we go away, they'll ram the help button, they break the glass, and they'll include something in the game that everybody really wants, so people can come back.
I mean, dude, that's why they brought out Demon Hunters.
I think so, yeah. Like, they were rumored to be in the game for years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they're finally here. And they are the best fucking class in the whole game. I stopped playing my mage because of Demon Hunters.
They are pretty fun, but they're also... They suffer from, like, that newbie syndrome where, like, everyone in their... that wants to play them plays them regardless of how good they are, but they think they're God's gift, so...
Well, you know, we have sacrificed everything. What have you given? All right, let's move on to Firewatch, which wasn't a great story. It wasn't even a fantastic story.
I think that was what was so good about Firewatch.
Exactly. It was a normal story, just between two people in a relatively normal situation for relatively logical reasons, and it was just the story of two characters getting to know each other, and the voice acting was done so well. It hammered that home, I feel. And the ending, people don't like the ending because ultimately the whole panic that you discover in the course of the game isn't really that big of a deal in the end. But it doesn't really matter because most things that happen in real life end on, well, nothing really. But I think the voice acting really sold the characters to me, and I enjoyed the story because of that. Sam played it as well, I believe. And that, what do you think of the voice acting? I thought that it was among the most natural voice acting I've heard in a game in a very long time.
I agree with you, and I think that that's because of the walkie-talkies.
Right? Yeah.
I think that like the natural pause that comes from walkie-talkie communication lent itself very well to the way that video game voice acting is recorded.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that like the natural rhythms and flows that you expect from conversations, being able to take those and set them to the side, made the performances able to stand out stronger. And yeah, the story was good. I liked it just fine.
Yeah, which is, well, it's not really a big thing, but you usually don't really like stories or focus on stories, especially not if they've got like branching dialogue trees and stuff, which Firewatch definitely had. Well, what was it about Firewatch that turned into a non-issue for you?
I don't know. I guess it wasn't that long.
Oh yeah, definitely wasn't. It was like 3-4 hours.
And nothing. The conversations just affected the conversations. They didn't affect the game as much.
Right.
So I think like a combination of those factors probably.
Fair enough. Overwatch. I wouldn't really call that game interesting from a narrative standpoint. And there's not enough of a narrative to keep you going there, I think.
Those shorts are really great.
The shorts are fucking fantastic, definitely. They make you care about the characters, but as far as a larger narrative, I don't know. Like
Sure. The narrative is the community and all the people and the interesting characters you get to deal with in solo queue.
Oh, God.
What a fascinating cast of characters.
Yeah, for a group as tight as Overwatch, everybody's really doing all that infighting all the time. It's a bit of a downer. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Jamie, that's probably yours?
Yes, that absolutely is mine. Yeah, like just the most epic ending to a series you could imagine. Everything gets tied off so perfectly. And like it manages to keep the intrigue of like the entire series alive, as well as having its own self-contained story, which like stands on its own 2 feet if you haven't played the other 3 games. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and the way it's presented to you, like the acting is really strong as well.
Yeah, it's just really satisfying. Like it's hard sometimes when you get to like the end of a series to have a really nice, satisfying ending like that, but they did it really well.
Yeah, I know quite a bit about the story. It's a decent story, definitely. And the characters are really great.
I think it's incredibly well paced as well. Like the other Uncharted games basically all start with shit happening right away. Like the first game opens up, you're on a boat getting shot by pirates. Second game opens, you've just survived a train crash. Third game opens, I think you're in a pub fight. And then the fourth one like starts off like later on in the game because that's the thing they like to do. But then brings everything back down, and there's like a really slow first few chapters where you really get to get a feel for the characters' lives and how they've moved on since Uncharted 3.
Yeah, and it's just doing normal people stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
Nathan
and it's just so sad to see Nathan Drake like cooking dinner.
playing Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
dude, he played. Yeah, Crash Bandicoot was fucking awesome.
and there's like a scene in his attic where he like gets a toy gun and he's like hiding behind shit and like shooting at like posters of pirates and stuff, and it's just like, oh man, this is so sad. This is so depressing, man.
Yeah, that game's story was great. What do you think about his brother?
I liked it. I liked his brother. I always think it's a bit weird when they do that fourth game in the series and you're only just finding about this massive
some
like
random family member.
Yeah, especially when it's something as important to his entire backstory as his brother, which does like it opens up a lot of questions about like if his brother was doing all this shit in Uncharted 4, then why is he like alone in another country at the beginning of Uncharted 3?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need all the answers. Life's not about the answers. Sometimes it's about the questions, and that's
Where
okay.
the hell have you been this whole time?
Good stuff. Batman, the Telltale thing that came out earlier this year. Who played that?
Yeah, I nominated. That was me.
Oh, all right. Go on.
This was not only my favourite Telltale story that they have presented, that's including The Walking Dead, but this is my favourite Batman story I've experienced in fucking years, including movies, comic books, and video games.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's all present. I don't want to spoil anything at all, but it's all presented in such a way where you're sort of left not knowing a lot about the characters and stuff, and because it's like a new universe, you don't really get much of a grasp for what characters... I'm trying to think of a way to explain it without spoiling
Well, like their
anything.
motivations are. That
Yeah, you don't really get a feel for their motivations and stuff. So there's certain characters where you're like, right, I really shouldn't trust this character, but maybe things can be different here.
Is it Catwoman?
So
It's
is it
Catwoman,
like
isn't it?
is it like reading an Elseworlds kind of like comic?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. For anybody that knows Elseworlds, it's pretty much they're like it's like a Batman comic, but it's set in like another timeline, another universe. So a lot of the events aren't canon. So it's kind of it's enjoyable to read because, like Jamie says, you don't really know what's going on, and you don't know the characters' backgrounds, even though like they could have the Joker in it. You don't really understand what his motivations or background is in this particular context, so you can't really predict what's going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in a game like a Telltale game where it's all about making decisions and stuff, it's hard to know who to trust and who not to trust. You can end up trusting people that you really shouldn't, and you can end up not trusting people that turn out
You
to
really
be
shouldn't.
alright. Yeah.
How does it tie to the gameplay? Because I really wanted it to pick it up because I'm a huge comic book fan in general, and then Batman, but I kind of burnt out on Telltale because I feel like they've been recycling their formula over and over again.
It's more of the same. Like, there's nice little detective-y bits, but they're not that deep. Like, they're not even as deep as the Arkham Knight Batman detective stuff.
Okay.
It's literally just looking around an environment and finding two pieces of a puzzle that link together.
Oh, you know,
And, like,
Telltale
interacting
shit.
with it.
Yeah, and then you get to a fight scene and it's quick-time events.
It sucks because so the last Telltale game that I played that I was actively like invested in and I enjoyed was The Wolf Among Us. But again, that's because it's based on like an IP that I'm already familiar with, which is like the Fables. And I guess with Telltale, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting really accustomed to their gameplay and almost tired of it, to the point that I'm being a little bit more discerning. Where if I pick up a Telltale game, it's got to be something that I'm very, very invested in story wise, and even then, it takes me a while to actually like work up the desire to buy
But
it.
if you go to a Telltale game because you like mechanics, you're doing it all wrong. Like, nobody plays those games for the mechanics. Everybody plays them for the branching dialogue and the choices and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
That's another thing that really impressed me as well. Because you have branching dialogue, like I like happy Batman. I hate like this modern sort of Batman has to be really
brooding.
upset all the time and brooding and shit. So like just having those simple options of like when Alfred says to you, Bruce, why are you doing this? Having the option to choose between because everything sucks and I'm sad and I do it because Gotham needs me. It's nice that you can choose whether your Batman's a dick or not.
You can choose between like Nolan Batman and old Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Gee, the mood whiplash is going to be amazing if they offer those two distinct paths. Like 1 minute he's beating the Joker to a pulp, the next one he's dragging around a comically sized bomb. I don't know. Stop adding Glittermitten Grove to everything, Sam.
It's going to be in every category.
Glittermitten Cove is the new Overwatch for 2017.
It's Grove with a G and an R. Glittermitten Grove, man. Great narrative. Super top notch.
Yeah, all right. Go on then. Tell us why it's an engaging narrative.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything. So, I was just saying that it's a really great story and you should trust me.
I have no idea what's going on. I hadn't heard of this game until today.
I really need you to play this game. I need it.
So nothing?
Going.
No? All right. Watch Dogs 2 is my pick. The second game improves in a lot of areas, chief among which is that you don't play like a human frown. This time around you play a guy who is in his 20s, like we all here are, except Enrique and Sam. Oh, by the way, yeah. You're like way older than we are. Constantly
Did you just say, like we all are, except 50% of us?
50% of the time, he's right 100% of the time.
There you go. But yeah, me and Jamie will probably like that game because you play people that are 20-somethings, they're into tech, they're just stereotypical millennials, really, for the most part. And I never really saw it done that well in a game before. Like, I could immediately sort of... I could interface with the characters a bit more because they did stuff or they talked in a certain way that felt very familiar to me because people my age do that as well.
Like when they greet each other, they say, "What's up?"
It's little things like them being obsessed by social media, stuff like that, or the main character whipping out his mobile phone the moment you let him idle for about 4 seconds. It's stuff like that I thought was like really neat, and it got me into the story a bit more. That's basically it. I mean, that game's got heart. The characters just feel like real people for the most part. Apart from Wrench, the guy with the emoji mask, he was very easy to make fun of before that game was released. But now that I've played the game and now I've spent some time with that character, he's actually a pretty good character. He's just pretty good. So it's because of the characters that I got really into the story for Watch Dogs 2. And I've not finished the entire game, but it's been good so far. So it's probably going to be good the whole way through. At least I hope so. Yeah, that's the most engaging narrative. Let's move on to multiplayer games we kept on playing. The first one's Overwatch, of course. I mean, is it in every category?
Almost.
Maybe, probably. The game's awesome.
Yeah, that game's really, really good. And it's fun to play on your own as well.
Kind of.
Yeah. Well, stay out of ranked.
As somebody who's spent a lot of time in solo queue, it can get bad. But worth it still. What am I going to do? Not play Overwatch?
Admit defeat and just go to quick match?
I play nine games of arcade every week.
Oh, for the free loot boxes.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that game's really, really good. The Division's Dark Zone PvP area.
Was awesome once they fixed it.
Is it fixed, though?
Oh, I don't know if it's fixed, but they changed the incentive structure. Because when I was playing it, nobody would, or barely anybody would ever go rogue, because what was the point?
Oh, okay. I might actually have some perspective on this then, because I recently bought it on PC. I've not played that game for about 4 or 5 months, I guess. And one of the first things I saw in general chat when I logged in for the very first time is, don't go into the dark zone if you're low level because everyone just PvPs and it's broken as fuck. Like, all right, this game hasn't changed the fucking bit then.
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah, they changed the reward structure and it got a lot more hectic in there.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the dark zone's interesting when it's aggressive. So, Don't Starve Together. Who was that?
Has anyone played Don't Starve or Don't Starve Together?
Played it for about 30 minutes.
Oh,
I have, but I didn't put that on there.
I put that on there. It's a really great game. Like, Don't Starve is a lot of fun. Like, just a really nicely designed survival game. And Don't Starve Together just takes that exact same concept and allows you to put it online with servers that like track your progress. And yeah, you can have like 4 players at a time, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's a lot of fun.
And what was it specifically that made you come back to playing it every single time?
I don't even know what it was specifically, but like, I think it was just that sense of you can have a bunch of people join a server, and on consoles, people don't, or especially on PlayStation, people don't really use headsets in that much, so there's no real communication between yous, but it's nice to have that sort of silent thing where no one's really talking, but everyone's working together anyway, and everyone just sort of knows their role and what they need to do.
So
it's just a really nice community vibe.
Oh, right.
I'd
So,
like to
it's,
have
so it's the
somebody-
complete opposite of the Overwatch community. Brilliant.
Yeah, pretty much. And except sometimes you do get like those arseholes who like you put something down for 1 second to rearrange your inventory, or you put some food in a fridge to keep it cool for later, and some arsehole just comes along and is just like, this all belongs to me now.
Just like roommates.
Anonymous and really aggressive roommates that will have no consequences for their dickish behaviour. Uncharted 4. It had multiplayer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it had great multiplayer.
Is it actually good?
And yeah, it's really good. Like they added multiplayer in Uncharted 2, and it was one of those things where it's like no one expected it to be good, because if you add multiplayer to a traditionally single player game, it usually turns out pretty shit.
Yeah, look at Mass Effect
Right.
3. Terrible multiplayer.
But they actually they done a really good job with it, and it sort of became a staple from there. And Uncharted 4 sort of had to have multiplayer just because there's such a huge fan base behind it. And they just recently released Survival as well, which is great.
Which is...
All right.
Just co-op survival.
Which
You
is
just
great.
go against waves and waves of
Oh,
enemies.
right. Okay.
Oh, like a horde mode.
Yeah,
Every game should have a horde mode, I think.
yeah, I love horde modes.
Even Overwatch has horde modes. Well, it had one.
It had one.
You can't replay it anymore. Rocket League did not come out this year. Why is it on this list?
I have no idea. I didn't put it there.
Who did it?
9.
Ryan? Is it Ryan from the past?
Did he appear out of nowhere?
Oh, for fuck's sake, don't make my editing job harder for do stuff like that. Right, just go to the next one. Jackbox 3.
That game's awesome.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It is good. All the things that you would say were good about the other ones are also good about this one.
I still think it's an ingenious move of them to have you use your mobile phone to play the game on the TV screen.
Yes, everybody has a cell phone, and I don't have to dig up 8 AA batteries, which is
Oh, for all the damn
very
controllers.
helpful to me.
Is the Jackbox still just like the trivia game?
It's a series
there's-
of games.
Yeah, You Don't Know Jack is not in this one. I don't think it was in the second one either. I think if you want to play that, the first one is the only one
How the hell is it called Jackbox?
that actually had it. Well, I mean, Cookie's still in there, and I think that Jack Games is their, the name of the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not You Don't Know Jack, but it's just like a bunch of mini games.
Okay.
But they're all really good. There is a trivia game in there called Murder Party that's pretty good. I don't know what else to say about that. It's awesome. It's fun.
And the last one is Glitter Mitten Grove. It's not
Yeah.
even a multiplayer game, is it?
Now listen, there's an orange soapstone in that game that you can put messages on the ground, and I'm almost positive that that's online enabled.
It is. It loads the message you write onto a server, and it populates that into other people playing in the same instance.
That's not multiplayer,
so there
though.
you go. There you
It's
go.
not multiplayer.
You can interact with other players, therefore multiplayer.
All right.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad we agree. Moving on.
We've got the art styles that stick category, but we sort of rolled that into talking about the visuals anyway. We should have been more clear there. So just move on then.
Yeah.
All right. Biggest letdown / biggest trash fire.
Who put Overwatch on the biggest letdown?
Put Overwatch in there.
Wait,
Gonna do
wait,
this.
why is Glitter Mitten Grove not in there?
Oh, that game was the opposite of a letdown. Biggest boost up is what that one is. That's my category.
Why is Pokemon Go on the biggest trash fire list?
You
Sam,
know why
Sam,
that
you
is.
did that, didn't you?
You know that's why that's there.
Why?
Because the game's terrible.
Can't really argue.
Wait, why is Firewatch in a trash fire?
Because it has a giant trash fire in it.
Touche. All right, moving
An
on.
actual giant fire, see?
Bloody hell. Oh, Mighty Number 9.
That's the best.
Is it?
Yeah, fuck that game.
Yeah, that game's release was terrible, right? Did you not enjoy that wonderful trailer they released a few days before it released?
About that. Well, it sucks because, man, so Kenji Inafune, he comes from a good pedigree. So when you hear that he's gonna be making it like a game that's essentially a spiritual sequel to Mega Man, you're like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Let's go. But I started getting worried around, I think, like the 3 or 4 month mark into their Kickstarter when they started announcing, hey, we're working on a TV show and we're working on a comic thing and we're working. They basically announced like 4 or 5 other projects involving the No Man's Sky IP, and then they mentioned they were going to work on a separate game called Red Something. And this was all still while they were collecting funding for Mighty Number 9. And when that started happening, I started getting worried for the title because I'm like, okay, this seems like a studio that their heart might be in the right place, but they're stretching themselves way too thin. And the final product that we got with Mighty Number 9 delivered just that. It delivered a game that felt like it was rushed and half-assed. That their full attention wasn't on the production of it.
That's weird because they've been working on that game for years, right?
Yeah, but like I said, they weren't working just on that game. They split their attention to like 4 or 5 other projects. And when we got Mighty Number 9, I mean, it had very bland level design. Character design was uninspiring. Just even like the gameplay and even the sound effects. Everything about the game just felt like it was a very big meh.
Yeah. Nothing about the Mighty Number 9 feels premium or even finished. It's just that it's half-assed ideas implemented half-assedly.
Yeah, it feels like they put something out just because they had to.
That's never a good reason to release a game.
Yeah.
Sad but true. The Division. Yeah, it's a good game. I will say that it's a good game. The dungeon design is fantastic, but the first few months of that game, not the best.
Yeah. It suffered from like a lot of like nascent MMOs have, where once you reach your max level, you immediately run out of things to do.
Yeah, the end game was very bad.
And it was such a grind that there was really no desire to keep players engaged or playing.
Yeah.
And the briefcases.
Fucking briefcases.
Don't get me started on the briefcases.
Walk with this briefcase. No, walk. I mean walk.
Who the fuck thought that up? Like, that is so disrespectful towards your time. So you are this badass. You're charged with saving fucking New York City from a calamity. But
Chris, it's optional. You don't have to do those.
It's true, but it's still dumb as fuck. I don't really have to interface with it in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that it's still in there...
But would you say that affects the overall quality of the game?
No, not really.
You fucking lie.
No. It just annoys me that there's that thing that I don't want to do is there, where it could have been better, that portion of the game.
Very high highs and very low lows.
Yes. Yeah.
I really enjoyed those briefcase segments. Would you,
No, you didn't.
begrudge me having fun in that gameplay by removing it from the game just because you don't want to do that optional
You're a
extra?
dirty liar.
You're a dirty liar as well.
I am a dirty fucking liar, but the point stands.
The briefcases, though. Just, no. Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
That was you who added that?
Yeah. They released the game, like, way, way early, and it was fucked. And nobody really knew who was to blame, and, like, everyone was blaming each other. And then what it all came down to was Capcom were just like, well, the tournament people were, like, pressuring us, because they wanted to play Street Fighter V in this year's tournament. So we had to release it in a completely fucked state, so they could not enjoy it in their tournament.
If you don't want to indulge Evo, how does that have any bearing on you? Like, we want your game. You're not getting it. Done. Until it's done. And that's basically all they needed to do. But yeah, they released that game in a broken and half-finished state. And it's still not done, is it? It's a story mode in it now.
I'd hope so.
Yo,
I don't know. I haven't kept up to date with the matter because...
disliked it so much. Not checked back since. Okay.
Nope.
Well, that constitutes as a trash fire, doesn't it?
We've got 50 different versions of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Street Fighter 2 Turbo fucking Remix Puzzle Ultra Edition. Why the fuck do we need new Street Fighter games that are just not as good?
Because the fighting community asked for it. So ultimately, they are to blame, according to Capcom, the maker of the half-finished, broken game they released. All right, Roller Coaster Tycoon World. Please don't tell me any of you has bought it.
I refunded it.
Still, though.
Dude, okay, the original Roller Coaster Tycoons were actually really fucking fun.
Yes, yeah.
They're just theme park simulators. You build your theme park, you can, like, switch rides around, all that stuff, maximize your profit. I mean, they're fun. They're fun time killers. I actually really like them. I caught wind of Roller Coaster World coming out, or
Yeah.
Planet Coaster.
Yeah.
So Planet Coaster was one that was coming out, which is by the developers of
The original Roller Coaster Tycoon, yeah.
And no, it wasn't like City Skylines people.
No. It's Frontier Developments. They make Elite Dangerous, but Planet Coaster was also made by people who used to work on the first and the second Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yes. Okay. And right around the same time, like when they started getting hyped, the freaking Roller Coaster Tycoon World was announced, and I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot because I remember I liked the old Roller Coaster Tycoons, and this game just reeks of cash grab / throw something out so we can keep our IP like patent or something. The game was just awful.
You can see
the visuals are very dated. It looks like a 2000 game.
Yeah.
It is buggy as hell. It feels rushed. It doesn't perform well on systems. There's very limited options in terms of what you can actually build, and the game itself plays like a pay to win mobile game, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah.
Where you have to complete tasks to unlock in-game currency, to unlock additional rides and stuff, and it's not a fun experience overall.
Yeah, you can sort of see the writing on the wall when they decided to release a boxed version of the early access title in actual brick and mortar stores.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, they actually did that.
That happened?
Oh yes, that happened, and the developers thought that was a good idea. They gleefully released it to brick and mortar stores, and it is completely broken. Even now that version 1.0 is sort of done, nobody likes it. Everybody seems to feel like Planet Coaster is the right one to go with, which is actually a game I bought over the weekend, and it is really good if you like the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. So.
Yeah, it is. It's way better. It's still not perfect. There's some missing elements on it, but yeah, comparatively, by far, avoid the heaping trash fire that is Roller Coaster Tycoon World and go with Planet Coaster instead.
Yes, I would concur.
Can someone please explain what Glittermit and Grove and Frog Fractions are? Because
so Frog Fractions is a very random, I guess, compilation or pastiche of different game genres, if that makes sense.
It doesn't.
From like an ASCII kind of overworld game to a side scroller to a text-based adventure game. They just mix a lot of different genres into one giant game, and it changes very abruptly. Like you'll get to a certain point in one genre, and then it'll immediately jump you to a completely different genre. And it got like a huge cult following because the original Frog Fraction starts off like one of those old fraction math games, like Number Munchers. And it'll randomly change to like a shooter, and it randomly changes to like an adventure game, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it takes you on this very wild ride. It's fun. Like it sounds like there's like some really cool, interesting concepts, but the whole thing plays more like an art piece than an actual full length game.
Right.
But it's like popularity and like that cult status they got just stemmed from that very weird abrupt transitions that people are playing. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm playing, but I can't stop.
Yeah, and the second
they put the sequel to this game inside another game.
Yeah. So the sequel to this game. So like I said, Frog Fractions was such a weird game to begin with, and the developer kind of took advantage of like that cult following and made like a whole ARG game in regards to like Frog's Factions 2 is going to release at some point. And people were basically scouring the internet to try to find clues on like where he's going to release, because he basically made this whole campaign where like, I'm not going to tell you when it's coming out. It's just going to come out as part of another game. You have to find it. So it became this whole like subculture where people were like, like if you can actually find Frog Fraction detectives or the game detectives. There's a whole wiki dedicated to trying to find Frog Fractions 2. And then this game that had been out for a bit called Glittermitten Cove. It's like a weird.
It's Grove. It's still Grove.
Glittermitten Grove. Glittermitten Grove is like a weird like town builders style game where you control a bunch of fairies and you build up the little fairy town on like trees and crystals and all that.
I do like the idea, though. I mean, that game sucks, but I like the part of it where you're building in trees, and the more buildings you put on a tree, they kind of bend with the weight, so you can't put too much on a tree or it'll snap.
And not just that, but like the trees actually need sunlight to grow, and if you have too many like things on one tree, it'll actually block the sunlight to another tree, and that can actually impact its growth. So it does have some gems in regards to like resource management, which are kind of cool. But within that game, that got actually on Christmas Eve, it got a mysterious update. And then the developer for Frog Fractions tweeted out, "Hey guys, Merry Christmas." And then people started scouring the game like crazy. And then within it, somebody discovered a door. And then when you enter that door, it brings you to Frog Fractions 2.
Right.
And Frog Fractions 2 is like this very weird ASCII like Zelda overworld that, again, it has a couple puzzles for you to figure out. But amongst those puzzles, when you reach certain milestones, you get turned into a completely different genre game.
Yeah, I did like the. Is this what we're talking about now?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked the puzzle solving in that game was really good. It was difficult enough that you had to think about it, but not so difficult that you would never progress.
Yeah, I actually did really enjoy that because I mean, it's first and foremost is a puzzle game, which is kind of different than the other ones because the other ones were. I think Frog Fractions 1 really relied on that like LOL random kind of thing.
Well, and you kind of naturally progressed through the stages of the games, which was something I would say is not to the benefit of Frog Fractions 2. It feels a little too shoehorned, and everything feels a little too segmented with the overworld to tie it together. So tonally, it's maybe a little off, but that's fine because it's still very funny and very weird and interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and it does have some solid puzzles trying to figure them out. And I think it does have like this reward system that when you figure out a puzzle, it just does a very abrupt transition. Then you get brought to a completely different style game, which I mean, I really liked. There was one, I got put into like a weird detective. You're like a detective trying to find a criminal within Dante's Inferno. So you have to read clues and interview witnesses and then go through the different layers of hell to find your culprit.
And then the appendix in that one is like actually Dante's Inferno, like the full text.
Yeah.
And you scroll to the bottom of it and it's like, do you accept the terms and conditions? And there's an I agree button.
That's crazy. Like, I'd like the idea of that whole secret release thing.
It's
That's like,
fucking
I mean,
awesome, dude. You gotta
it's fun.
play it. You really gotta play it.
it's like some Hideo Kojima on acid shit.
Pretty much. They have a whole separate game that's like Annoy Your Xenomorph Roommate, where you're basically a space marine and a frat boy xenomorph, and you're living together. And the goal of the game is you have to get your xenomorph roommate so annoyed that he won't renew the lease by 8:00 p.m.
So you're doing stuff like moving the couch to the left and changing the AV cables on the TV.
Or leaving like passive aggressive notes on the fridge.
Yeah, hiding the remote. And then one of the options is not take out the trash.
But you have to do it without raising his suspicion.
Right,
Because
yeah,
you have a
also
counter that's like, it's annoyance and I guess suspicion, and you don't want him to suspect that you're actually doing that stuff on purpose.
Like if you leave a floater in the toilet while he's in the bathroom, then suspicion goes up along with the noise.
Of course.
Or like you can, one of my favorite ones, you can actually research on your computer in your living room ways to annoy him, and like you can find really obscure laws because I guess your roommate's actually a lawyer. So you can find really obscure laws about how it's illegal to eat cherry pie and ice cream in a certain state. And you can walk up to him and bring that to him and try to discuss it with him as a form to annoy him. Like, as a lawyer, how can you support this really benign law?
It's good shit, man. It's good shit.
Yeah, I think that was a decent introduction to to the game that held Sam's attention the most category. That features just 2 games. One of them, Glittermit and fucking Grove.
That game is so good, dude.
It's
And the other one, and I'm a
It's
bit
probably-
afraid of what will happen when I say it, but RimWorld is the other one.
RimWorld's probably the one that wins this category. I played that game for probably 2 months straight.
Dude, have you tried the new update?
No, I haven't tried the new update.
Oh my god, you can actually raid other towns now.
I know. I'm currently letting RimWorld simmer for a while because, I mean, part of why it held my attention the most was that the more you dug, the deeper there was to dig.
Right.
And once there's just so many tiny things to learn how the interactions and the way things work together that just learning that is such a process that it takes 2 months basically. And then what I found, what really made the game shine for me was the mod support, and a lot of the different mods I used haven't even made it up to Alpha 15 yet, much less Alpha 16. But I like the changes and the direction it's going. Seems really interesting. I just feel like vanilla is probably too easy at this point.
Right.
And seeing new content is great, but that's not the thing that I'm all about with that game, you know. This game is phenomenal. I mean, it's an absolutely wonderful game.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen you so in love with a specific game as you were with RimWorld this year.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, what am I going to say about it right now? Just listen to the 4 weeks that I was playing that game. Anything else I say now is just like repeating myself at this point. Like, everybody knows that I love that game and will advocate it to the end of time.
Well, would you go as far as to say that is that is the best game that you played this year?
It's up there. That's one of the.
Still too scared to commit fully to answering
That's one of
question.
that is one of the best 3 games I've played this year.
All right. This is probably going to be my favorite part of the episode. The coolest moment. A loose collection of random sentences referencing very specific shit you won't understand unless you've done it yourself in those games. All right, we'll start off easy. Flying to a new planet in No Man's Sky. You feel really, really achieved once you manage to get off your starting planet and go to a different one. That's a really cool feeling. But after you do that for about 20 hours, it turns out that that's all you do in the game. So every time you see a new planet, it's less special than the one you saw before that. But that's a side note. That moment where you time your Reaper/McCree ult just right.
Timing any ult just right is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, but some of them are a bit more easy than others, right? I mean, we can all safely say that the Reaper one is just Q to win at this point.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, still cool.
And it felt a lot better at release, where like 5 and 6 kills were just like the most common thing in the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like complete team wipes because of one well-timed ult.
Yeah, it was just like all over the place, and it felt so good. Now people are a little more hip to what's going on.
Did you get a full team kill with Deadeye at one point?
I think the most I've gotten is 5. I've never gotten a 6, and now it's never going to happen, but it's okay.
Why is that?
I mean, I just don't think 6 people are going to be dumb enough to stand in the same place anymore. Now that game's been out long enough. I mean, maybe in something like Quick Play or Mystery Heroes, maybe. But that's never going to happen in competitive.
I could go for that. I've no idea what this next sentence means. Thinking you killed a civvy with a plasma grenade, but it was one of those tall, creepy motherfuckers.
That's XCOM 2.
Yeah, XCOM 2. So there's an enemy unit in XCOM 2 called Faceless, and what they are, they're like these giant, goopy plasma like aliens, but they don't actually spawn on the map immediately. They're actually civilians in disguise, which is another aspect of the game. There's actually civilians within the maps, so you have to make sure you have to try not to kill them. And the cool thing about them is that they hide in plain sight. They act like regular civilians, and then if one of your units gets too close to them, they'll actually reveal themselves to be those like Faceless, and they get free attacks. They actually do a lot of damage, so it's kind of cool when sometimes one of your characters panics, or you just misclick and you accidentally throw your guys are just assholes and completely miss like an 89% shot, and they completely throw a grenade in the wrong direction. It hits a civilian, and you're like, crap, I just killed an innocent. And lo and behold, it turns out it's one of those little faithless monsters that you had no idea.
Yeah, it's a fog of war thing too. So you could be trying to chuck a grenade at what are they called? Aliens? I don't know. Aliens that are there. and you kind of pitch your grenade over there, and the fog of war fades back a little bit, and there's like a dude, and you're like, well, that's that then. But it turns out to be one of those disguised guys, and you're like, yeah, all right. Feels good.
All right. Irithyll of the Boreal Valley.
It's a great zone. It's a great zone in
is.
Dark Souls that comes after 2 zones that are very cramped and kind of a bummer. So coming out on this giant wintry city above it when you walk out of that cave is just really pretty and nice.
Yeah, it's Dark Souls 3. That's actually right after the catacombs, right?
Yeah. Catacombs and the lake thing. Maybe that is.
Yeah,
the
so basically the catacombs are, like Sam said, just a really cramped kind of cave barrier area. And even the boss you find in that area, the boss is this giant skeleton that you fight in pitch blackness. So it's a cool boss fight, but again, like there's not a lot of, in terms of rooms of visuals, it's just dark, gritty cave. And after you beat him, you go out through this little like slit on the rocks, and you get to this area, and it's this bonfire, and you look ahead, you see this giant landscape of like this beautiful like cathedral, castle, snowy winterland, like icy bridge, and it's a really big contrast to what the last 4 or 5 hours you've been exposed to. So it's an awesome moment when you first see that.
Oh, there you go.
And then it immediately goes away when you have to fight those Ghost King dudes. Ugh.
Not to mention, and that fucking weird demon ghost.
Oh yeah,
rat.
the demon wolf thing on the bridge. Yeah, it's fun at first. Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, fun at first.
Then you hate it. Fucking pitchforks.
All right. Puzzle solving in The Witness. Now, what is it about the puzzles in The Witness that make them so compelling? Because you seem to be very full of it.
It's
when you first
awesome.
play
It makes you feel like a genius
Like
for figuring out
like,
almost nothing.
As someone who's never played it, what kind of puzzles are in the game?
They're just the stupid line matching puzzles.
I take it you're not a fan.
He's technically correct, but he's missing a lot of the detail. It's the same thing. It is those line puzzles. It's variations on a theme, and they all work a little differently. And it's the kind of game where you get frustrated and you put it down and then walk away, and like by the time you've almost made a sandwich, you realize exactly what you needed to do and come rushing back to the computer to pop in your solution.
Tell you what, go to the dollar store or Pound Town and buy one of those like really shitty dollar, like those little slidey plastic puzzles, and go in the woods and you're playing The Witness.
No. It's not those. It's not the image sliders. It's not like that. There are lines involved.
I'm just being difficult. I haven't played it. I've heard actually really good things, and I've heard it's a great game. It's just my initial impressions of it were not the most favorable. So
It's more like the one that's filled with water, and you got to get the rings on the sticks.
Okay.
It's just good. I mean, it's just what is so good about puzzle solving, right? Just figuring something out, understanding the way things go together. And what's even better about the stuff in The Witness is because one crucial theme of a series of puzzles will click with you.
You get the aha moment.
Yeah, and you'll solve 6 in a row. And like that is awesome. Like to go on that streak after staring at the same puzzle for 2 hours and like coming back to it a day later, still not understanding it, coming back to it the next day, getting it, and then solving 7 is just awesome.
All right.
Mm-hmm. You should play The Witness. I can't believe nobody else played The Witness. I'm disappointed in everybody.
I'm not really all that into puzzles, to be honest.
You weren't into Peggle either, but look where we are.
Yes, with 0.2 hours played.
All this 12 minutes. The best 12 minutes of your life, Chris.
No, I'm joking, but Peggle's actually quite fun. Betting fake money on AI Cobalt matches better than the actual game.
Definitely.
Remember, Ryan and Sam were really like into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was the one who was doing all the betting. I don't know if he did that, but he did play the game. The game was good. I mean, not to say that the game was bad in any way. It's just that betting on those matches was so fun.
So, do you have a gambling addiction?
Not an addiction. I just like it. It's just one of the vices I happen to enjoy.
Like, did you end up selling things that you own just so you could bet on more skins?
No.
Put it this way, Parker's not the first child.
Yeah. The other one got me a sweet Asimov. No, I like the. I think Salty Bet does it too, where you can bet on matches in Mugen, that open fighter thing. It's just fun to bet fake money on AI robots fighting each other. I think
That is probably one of the most futuristic things I've heard.
Playing a perfect stealth mission in Hitman.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me. And that was really good. I think I did that on the Paris level. And you've got leaderboards in that game as well, right? And I did a perfect stealth run, and I'm actually really, really high on the leaderboards. So that's one of my little achievements that I've done over the year. So that's a thing. But yeah, Hitman is a series of NPCs just walking around doing specific things, and you need to figure out where you have to be wearing what outfit, doing what activity in order to get the perfect kill. And once you figure that out, and once you actually do it, it's a very rewarding feeling. It's cool that you did it without arousing suspicion and just slipping off the map at the end of. Oh yeah.
How open is the new Hitman game?
Pretty open. Pretty open. Yeah. It's so, almost endlessly replayable because of that.
Really? Because I love the original Hitman series. Like, it's probably one of my favorite games to play. It was right up there with like Splinter Cell.
Right. I've got good news.
Well, in terms of how great the gameplay and how free it was, but then I noticed that as the Hitman titles started coming out, they got progressively more and more narrow. And
they were more narrative driven, which is not the case in the first two games, and it's not the case in Hitman 2016.
Okay, yeah, because the last one I played was Absolution for I think it was 360, and I picked that one up because they both said that was a return to roots, and they showed all the different outfits you could wear and how you could kind of go your own way to take out the enemy. I'm like, all right, this sounds great. And when I picked it up, it was the exact fucking opposite. They just kind of put a nice little coating of free choice in it, where in reality was wearing an outfit didn't really disguise you. It just meant that you could walk a little bit closer to enemies, but if you got too close, they'd still notice you. You couldn't have any kind of freedom on how to take out your target. So that kind of put a bad taste in me for any future Hitman titles.
Yeah, I think most people agreed with that actually. But
and you had to wrestle a giant luchador to death by hitting QuickTime events.
Yes, it's true, but
the opinion of the community as a whole seems to be that Hitman 2016 is the best Hitman game in the franchise. And as somebody who's played all of the Hitman games, I am inclined to agree.
Is it getting a retail release?
Yes.
Sweet. Cool.
In a couple months. I mean, you can buy the full experience now if you like.
It's got one more episode.
My hard drive.
No. Everything's out. The whole first season's done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my hard drive is beyond fucked, so I'm just waiting for a retail release.
Yeah, it's a really good game. Hitman's really, really good. If that's your sort of thing, obviously. Throwing those stupid bitches boombox into the lake.
Right into the lake.
So is this the antithesis to say anything? What is this referring to?
It's Firewatch, man.
It's Firewatch.
Fucking stupid teenagers, man. They threw that boombox right in the lake.
I wonder, out of the four of us, who is the dad?
Me?
Yes. Damn
Threw it
kids
right
with
in
the
the
fucking
lake.
hoity-toity
No regrets.
music.
Kablunk.
Felt
so good.
Yeah, but at one point you find two teenagers just skinny dipping in a lake, and there's a boombox on the shore of the lake, and you can just pick it up and just chuck it away.
And they're talking shit to you, full on Tommy Boy style, just calling you names, and you just throw a boombox.
Well,
right
you're this middle-aged guy with a beard and just in cargo shorts. You just waltz up to the lake that they happen to be skinny dipping in, and you chucked away their boombox. I mean, I can sort of understand why they would be cross with you.
Just because it's a forest doesn't mean there's no rules. Right in the lake, felt so good.
I'm just saying though, from their perspective, I can understand why they would be upset with you. All right. So timing an ult correctly in Overwatch is great, but shutting down an ult already in progress is also
even better.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great.
Oh my god, that the amount of euphoria you get from shutting down a good ult is the same kind that you get when somebody cancels plans and you didn't want to go out to begin with. It is just sublime.
Like all the characters, they say a specific voice line when they activate their ult, and it's really funny to hear what happens to the voice line when you kill them mid thing.
Yeah,
And I was saying,
they do
like,
their death bark
the
right
fact-
in the middle of the line.
Yeah, but it just
the
like
fact
it
that
jump
Blizzard
cuts to it
predicted
as
that,
well.
dude, like that just shows that Blizzard knew that was going to be the best part of the game. The fact that they predicted that and included that into the actual audio, where you can have Farrah go, "Death reigns from,"
It's high, or something like that.
dude, and it's great, man. Like seeing something like being on Route 66 and you see Roadhog, bust his ultimate, and then with Reinhardt you can immediately just charge him off the ledge before he can even take a single hit out, or right before Mercy starts casting her like Heroes Never Die, she gets headshot. You're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels great. It's super top notch. I mean, like, my mains are Roadhog and Anna, and they both can just knock people down right in the middle.
Oh man, it's so satisfying.
Definitely. Pretty cool. I'm going to need your help with the next one because it just says shaving Obama.
Is that not self-explanatory?
What game is this?
That's Glittermint and Gruff.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
There's a mini game in there, and it's like young Barack Obama is preparing for some like middle school debate, but he needs to shave first. And so you have like your tools, and you got to use the scissors to get the long hairs, and then you lather his face, and then shave it, and then rinse it. But the thing is, you don't have enough time. I don't think. I've never been able to get him like nice and clean in the time allotted. So it's all very patchy, and there's like chunks of foam. And then after the timer runs out, it zooms out, and it's him at the debate with the face that you left him with. And then it follows through with that, right? Like, and then it's like Barack Obama in his adulthood, and Michelle's like, "You need to shave before your big State of the Union address," and you do it again. But every time you do it, it never works out, and it's so funny. It's so funny. Oh my god, I can't even describe to you how funny it is. And then like one of them, well, I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but it gets funnier from there. Just it's so great. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I mean, like, it's like, you know the Flash games where there's like a princess, but her face has like shit on it, and you got to pop all the pimples, and then you got to cut her hair and all that, laser away the stuff. It's like that, but instead you're just shaving different forms of Barack Obama. It's great. It's so good, man.
Video games are fucking weird, man.
Fucking 8 thumbs up. 8 thumbs up.
Annoying the xenomorph.
Yep, talked about that a bit. That is your lawyer xenomorph roommate who,
All right, yeah.
dude, does not want to renew his lease by 8 p.m.
It's just fucking Frog Fractions 2 again.
Spraxis is the name of that game. You should really
That's
just
what it
play
was,
it.
Spraxis.
Yeah, you should really just play it. I think
Yeah.
everybody should.
No.
I think that like when there's an essential library of video games established at some point, that's going to be in there. Like the Congressional Library history of video games, it'll be in there.
All right. Strategy. Civilization 6 or Sid
I want
Meier's
to do
Civilization 6?
Standing in Line in the Division too. Did we
Oh
do
shit!
that?
I skipped
we did.
some.
That's like the best one.
Sorry. Annoying the xenomorph we had. Standing in line in the Division.
Yeah, that was one of the best moments this year for me. When the Division released and you came into the first room that you're in multiplayer and everybody was standing in a line in front of that laptop.
Well, you had to check in, but you
push.
don't really want to. You don't want to be rude, so you just step in line.
Yeah, you just queue right up behind them and just sit there. It was so good. It was like just very internet and very MMO and very awesome all at the same time. I love that.
Yeah, I am English enough to enjoy the act of queuing up for something.
Best Q Simulator 2016.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Let me just jump right in line. And like people were yelling at other people,
Yes.
like not to break the line and like
Yes.
this whole thing. It was really great. And just
It was a mixture of just like people not knowing any better and imposed law.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, so you see a situation you recognize from real life, so you just sort of start to do that in game as well.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I better get in this line then, huh? But no, nobody had to do that at all.
Well, in the very same room, there is a door that you have to get out from. and because collision detection, or no, it's not collision detection, right? That you can't clip through other people's models.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you're right.
That wasn't implemented yet, and that's why the thing with the laptop and the queue also worked. Like people just stood in front of the room of the thing that people needed to interact with, but they couldn't because there was somebody standing in their way. So people started queuing up. That's exactly why people did that.
And, this moment was across servers and across time zones and across the world. Was like this was happening.
Yeah, because everybody sort of, they realised they couldn't get to the desk when somebody else was already there interacting with the laptop. So the only thing you could do to make it fair was stand behind them until they're done. It's probably the most realistic moment in video gaming in 2016.
I'm a huge fan.
All right, strategy. Sid Meier's Civilization 6. It's the follow-up to the Gasp Civilization 5. It has everything that was in Civilization 5 at the end of its cycle, excluding the World Congress bit, which they took out. But it's Sid Meier's Civilization 6 with everything that you want and nothing that you don't, apart from the AI, which is still terrible.
Yeah, but that's like par for the course at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always been hilariously bad.
It's a feature.
Yeah. I do really enjoy Civilization though. Like it's only been out for what, a month and a half, I think.
Wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, something like that. And I pumped close to 100 hours into it now, and that number's probably going to be higher.
I like it just because it's like Jamie, like Chris was saying. It feels like, because normally with the Civilization games when they release, they're fun, but they always feel like something is missing, and they don't really come to fruition until at least 1 or 2 expansions are released. But Civ 6, I think, has been the first Civilization game in a while that's released that feels like a complete experience that doesn't need some kind of expansion pack to add to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like anything else that comes out expansion-wise would probably be a really welcome addition rather than like filling a gap.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where they're going to go with the expansion packs, because they've already added everything to the game that you would want in a Civilization 6. So let's see how crazy they can make it. Like, will they ever release an update that will turn the AI and the diplomacy features into something else than complete shit?
I hope not.
Hitman, we've already discussed. RimWorld, already discussed that as well. Overwatch, already discussed that. This is not strategy, guys. Overwatch isn't.
Maybe that's how you play it.
Is.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason you're not a platinum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Total War Warhammer.
That game's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Because I don't know. Like I feel like the Warhammer franchise has had kind of a spotty history.
It's good. It's good. It's fine.
All right.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Wait.
fine.
You're already crawling back now. It was good, and now it's
good.
fine.
Now it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like Total War.
It didn't hold my attention, but I mean, it was still totally fine.
I haven't played Warhammer yet, so I can't comment. But Total War games are good. So
Yeah,
it's
it's that, but Warhammer.
There's only one Total War game worth your stones, and that is Medieval 2.
What if it had orcs in it?
Sure, I could go for that. Orcs are cool.
Yeah,
that's all you want to say about that, then?
Yeah, I really don't. I really don't know what to say about it. It's pretty good.
Okay, pretty good is good enough for me. Worms WMD.
Worms is great.
That
Everyone
game's
loves Worms.
awesome.
Like, did they do something new with
Yes.
WMD?
They did a lot new.
Yeah, crafting vehicles.
Crafting?
Vehicles.
Why vehicles?
What do you mean by vehicles?
How does that work with the turn base?
Yeah.
There's like tanks and helicopters and big exosuits, and when it's your turn, you can just get in one and just fuck shit up.
Like Earthworm Jim style exosuit?
Like a big Titanfall exosuit.
Oh, that's actually pretty clever.
Do you like worms?
Yes.
Then you'll like WMD.
Yeah.
Cool. It is the Deus Ex Mankind Divided of the Worms franchise.
I wonder what game is last in our best strategy category.
It's fucking Glitterbit Grove. Fucking Sam.
This is an excellent strategic game. There's a version of chess in there that is
That was really
amazing.
fucking hard.
Yeah, there's a version of It's not real time, but it's not turn based either. It's like chess, but there's an action bar.
Yeah.
So once you move a piece, it's on delay until it can move again.
Do you remember? It reminds me of the combat system Final Fantasy VII, where you had like an action bar that slowly went down to 0, and then like once it was, I guess there was like a cooldown timer, and then once it hit 0, you could move again. And it's weird because like the opposite side starts spawning different moves, and
Yeah, they spawn their pieces. They don't start out with all their pieces on the board.
actually, no, think about that. Is actually a really good strategy game because you have to kind of take into account that. So, like traditional chess, like you can move your pieces in the traditional way, but like when they land on a certain square, it might be in the path of another movement, but you can kind of take advantage of their cooldown. So if they just moved that piece recently, you know they're not going to be able to take you out right away. So you can kind of like work around it. It's actually really good.
Yes, it is. It's an awesome game. I agree
right.
with Enrique 100%. Everything he's saying is right.
Glitterman and Code, man, best strategy game.
Oh my
Grove.
god, dude. I'm gonna
Grove.
rip your face off and eat your teeth.
I mean, it's not as if you've not heard the name before today. Grove. All right. The last category: indie games. Salt and Sanctuary.
Yeah, Sworn Sanctuary is great. There's not much to say about it. It's just like 2D Dark Souls.
All right. Fair enough.
No, it's really good. Like you have salt instead of souls, and then obviously you get killed, you drop your salt, and then one enemy gets that salt. You got to track them down and kill them to get it back again. And it's really difficult and a lot of fun. And there's some big ass bosses that you got to learn their patterns and shit.
All right.
Really nice art style too, like all hand drawn and like really old fashioned like drawing. It's beautiful and it's a lot of fun. So I recommend if anyone's like a fan of Dark Souls, definitely play that.
All right. Unravel. Played a bit of it. Don't know much about the game other than I really, really wanted to buy the game because the guy who created it is just—he's a person I want to I want to be happy.
Yeah, he's
you
the
know.
loveliest human on the planet, and like the game just has every single bit of his loveliness. It's just such a nice game. It's just pleasant.
It's really
It
heartfelt,
is,
isn't
and
it?
it's really like sad and like happy and like you go on this complete emotional journey and like there's just moments where like shit happens where like there's a bit where you're walking through a road and Yanni is all like wet and sad and a car drives past and splashes him and it was like the most heartbreaking moment in gaming this year.
That's hilarious. I'm so...
Dude.
The car driving by and splashing with the puddle is like a historically comedic bit.
Have you
That's
no
what's so
decency?
genius about the game, man. It subverts your expectations. You think the car
Yeah, it
driving
does.
in water is funny. This game makes it sad.
I want that to be sad. I have a great appreciation for physical comedy.
Stephen Sausage.
I'm pretty sure
Roll.
there was something.
I think you
before
missed
that.
one.
Oh yeah, there is, but I'm just not going to talk about that one anymore. So,
You can't mention Glittermitten Grove in the category of best indie game.
for fuck's sake. Fine, all right, we've mentioned it. Can we move on? Because I don't really want to hear the justification at this point, because you've told us about 4 or 5 times already. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's Glittermitten Grove. Why is
Oh,
it? Why
yeah.
is it? Why is it on the list?
Because the game's awesome and it's an indie game. And it is the best indie game.
All right, talk to me about Stephen's Sausage Roll.
A really, really hard puzzle game. But the controls are a little weird. You're just a dude with a fork, and there are sausages in the level, and you need to evenly sear all the sides of the sausage. So trying to figure out how to manipulate them in the space you're given and push and pull them around is just a really, really interesting, difficult puzzle game. Just a really good puzzle game.
All right. Wasted.
Wasted is a first-person Fallout-ish roguelike kind of game with a
Oh,
lot
what
of
are
good
those?
humor. And it's good. It's good. It's a good game. Yeah,
Overcooked.
play it. Overcooked is great. The game's awesome.
Yep, it's a fun strategy game. You're basically just you're prepping for was it aliens attacking or something?
No, you have to feed that noodle monster, and then you get blasted into the past to try and learn how to cook better to be able to better feed the noodle monster when the apocalypse comes.
What?
Yeah. I mean, there's a story
That's a
to it.
fantastic concept.
Yeah, and that's why you're doing like all these weird, crazy trials for cooking.
Huh.
You have to cook on an active volcano. You have to cook on an iceberg that's slowly breaking apart.
It's a training montage, basically. I mean, it's like a time-based diner dash game. Like, put the ingredients together, serve the dish, wash the dishes, chop the lettuce, chop the tomatoes, back and forth. It's great.
Sounds less like a game and more like a part-time job you get
Yeah.
underpaid for.
It's like my wife's favorite game this year. She won't leave me alone about playing it.
All right. The Binding of Isaac.
Yeah, this
Afterbirth.
one's kind of cheating because it came out on PC last year, but it came out on PS4 this year. So, fuck it.
There's another one coming out in
I
2
can't
days.
wait.
After
Binding of
Plus.
Isaac is just an amazing game, and you can sink so many hours into it and never get bored. It's incredible.
It's true.
I played it for 30 minutes. Got bored.
Okay, you're wrong. Next.
Pac-Man
Yes,
CE2.
Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Amazing game.
Wait, is that
I don't know.
actually indie?
I cheated again. It's downloadable off of the PlayStation Store, so fuck it, yes, it is. And it's amazing.
Right. Almost there. Move or Die.
Move or Die is a 4-player online or local co-op game that's just a series of different mini games. And if you don't move, you die. But other than that, it's kind of platforming with just a lot of variations. Sometimes there's blocks falling from the top. Sometimes certain blocks will kill you. Sometimes you're trying to paint the most of the background. Sometimes you're trying to shoot basketballs. Sometimes you're trying to dodge missiles. Just like a fun little local co-op jam.
All right. Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Ultimate Chicken Horse is better than Move or Die. Ultimate Chicken Horse is also a platformer game. It's like a multiplayer Mario Maker in a certain way. So you each pick a person and you start out on a level and the level's entirely blank. Each round you get a box full of pieces and you 4 pieces and it's a race to see what if you want to grab the piece you want. And then you build a level together, but you're trying to make it so difficult that the other people can't do it. But if nobody makes it to the end, then nobody gets any points. And if everybody makes it to the end, then nobody gets any points.
Right.
So you're working together to build this level and trying to engineer it in a way that you can make it to the end, but nobody else can.
Right.
It's awesome.
Cool. Crawl.
Crawl is equally as good as Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Okay.
Crawl is another 4-player local co-op game where one player plays the hero and the other people play monsters. And then as the monster, if you kill the hero, you become the hero.
Yeah, it's the dungeon crawler, right?
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawler, and notable because the attacks are not spammy at all. Like, a lot of the attacks have long cooldowns, so it's a lot about reading your opponent. And you kind of level up as time goes on and get better and stuff. It's good. It's a good one.
All right. And this is the last one. It's the
Yeah.
most innovative shooter of the year. Super Hot.
It's the best game ever made.
It's the most innovative shooter I've played in years.
I have nothing left to say. You pretty much covered it all.
Striking aesthetic, really
Covered it
interesting
all.
gameplay.
Said it all. Right there. It's the most innovative shooter ever. It is. It's a first-person shooter.
it is a really
where
cool game.
Time is only
And-
moving when you're moving. So you stand still. Yeah, and everyone's
It's more
frozen.
puzzler
You
than
get
a
time
shooter,
to
isn't it?
plan out your moves and your attacks and stuff. And yeah, it's genius. More like that.
Yeah,
It
you're
is
actually
very, very
you're,
good.
you're capable of shooting someone's gun out of their hand and
And-
grabbing it like when it comes towards you, and then using that gun to kill the dude you just got the gun off.
It feels like Jason Bourne, the video game. And
Yeah.
the best part is actually being able to see the replays in real time afterwards.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was really cool.
They're actually making a VR port for it, so I'm actually really interested to see how that's going to play in VR.
It's already out, I believe.
Oh, is it finished?
I think so. Yeah. I think I saw Jeff from the Giant Bombcast play it on stream recently.
Oh, man.
So, have you got a VR kit or?
Yeah, I got PlayStation VR.
Oh shit! Nice.
Dude, it's
Oh, why didn't you say that before? Like, is it?
well, you guys were hating on
is it
VR,
good
so I was like,
purchase?
all right, you know what, fuck you guys.
Was it a good purchase?
I'm enjoying it so far, dude. Like, there's not that many games on it. I guess there's like some kind of robot brawl simulator, and
Right.
You mean 100-foot robot golf?
yeah, sure, that's what it'll be.
Okay.
No, I'm actually going to be picking up the Batman Telltale game just based on Jamie's recommendation because they do have the VR port for it, but it's actually really fun, dude. The only downside, there's a lot of just they feel more like tech demos in games. And motion sickness is an issue when you first put it on. You really need to adjust yourself because there's this feeling of like your body and your mind just get thrown completely out of whack because your mind's it's so immersed that your mind's like, holy fuck, we're moving. But then your body's like, holy fuck, no, we're not. All right, eject everything. And you can get like really bad motion sickness from it, so it does take some time to get used to it. But it's actually really cool, dude. And that Resident Evil 7 demo is fucking horrifying in VR.
Yeah, I'll never play that.
It's so cool though because like the whole thing about scary games is that when you're playing them on a monitor, you can kind of like even if something scares you like a jump scare or like detention, you can ground yourself by like just a quick glance away from the screen and like look at your fucking dog, your TV, looking at the control in your hand, something. But you make that quick break in like the immersion, ground yourself. You're like, okay, it's just a video game, and you can come back. But when you have like a VR headset on, you can't do that. Like everywhere you look, you're still in the game, and that almost adds to your panic because you see something, and your first instinct is to look away to ground yourself, and you look away, and you're still in the area, and like that panic starts setting in. You're like, oh god, I can't get out of here. Awesome. So I'm actually really excited for it to come out. But no, I mean,
I'm good on that. Thank you.
But dude, I don't know, dude. Like the VR thing is actually really fun, and it's funny because I think that the reason it didn't take off when it first launched with like the Oculus and all that is that it's a very expensive venture, and in order for that to become successful, I think it needs to be mainstream first. And Sony definitely got the jump on that by releasing like a proprietary VR headset that goes with the system that you already own. So they sold this more as a peripheral rather than like a huge investment which is what other companies are going for. And I think if VR is going to survive, they really need to adopt that methodology to it.
All right. Before we go, let's look further into 2017. Are there any things games-wise that you're eagerly awaiting?
I'm awaiting the new BattleTech game.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's coming, right?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I've been like on a weird mech kick because I played Titanfall 2 this year, which I thought was fucking fantastic. It's leaps and bounds better than the first one. I enjoyed the first one for what it was, but it felt short. But Titanfall 2 added a great campaign. It added a really cool like roster of mechs, and even the multiplayer is really solid. So I've been looking for like a really good mech game, but I kind of want to scratch that strategy itch. And I saw that they're actually coming out with a RTS BattleTech game where you control like I think a unit of like 6 or 7 mechs. They each have like different abilities and different like specs. So you have one mech that specializes in long range combat, one that's heavy artillery, one that's just strictly for scouting and recon. And it's supposedly based a lot on actual, I guess, like the terrain of the map as well. So that looks really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. And an indie game called Abandoned Ship, which should be getting a playable demo this year at one of the conventions coming up. And that's like a Faster Than Light meets Sunless Sea.
Oh, right. Go on.
So it's got like the whole, like the ship management thing with like that Faster Than Light has, but it's going to have like that Lovecraftian kind of influence where you're basically a group of pirates setting sail and you're basically charting the unknown seas. So everything from combat with other ships to combat with old eldritch giant horrors in the sea.
All right. Cool.
So it seems awesome.
I'm really looking
those are the
forward
two that I'm
to
looking forward to.
Nier Automata.
All right, Jamie, what are you looking
the
forward
first
to?
Nier game is fucking amazing. I love that game so much.
Right.
It completely blew my mind that Nier was supposed to be a sequel to Dragon. No, what's the Dragon game that came out for PlayStation 2? Not Dragonheart, but
Yeah, I don't know that.
God,
I don't know.
I have to come back to it.
Horizon Zero Dawn as well. I think looks great. That's definitely going to be like one of Sony's big feathers in their cap if they manage to get that right.
Yeah, and it looks like they are getting it right. Everything I've seen from their promotional material.
Also,
they
Lego
released over
Worlds
the past
is
2
coming out
years.
in February.
It looks really cool.
And I love me some fucking Lego. And this is just a big old Lego world, just full of Lego. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Minecraft, but
it's Lego.
with Lego. So it's pretty much Minecraft.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
For me, I think it's Horizon Zero Dawn.
I forgot about that.
What was the other
That
one?
does look really good.
Yeah, Ghost Recon Wildlands looks
That
really
does.
good. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it looks fun as fuck, right? Let's do some co-op when it's out.
Ooh,
Yeah.
random. I just
Go on.
want to step back to Nier. It's a sequel to Drakengard, which is an old PS2 game, which was very, very weird.
I've heard of that game. Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is because Drakengard was like one of those old like Dynasty Warriors type brawler games, and it had this story where like you form a pact with a dragon, you lose your voice, and you basically fight to like save your sister from being sacrificed and destroying the world. And you end up essentially fighting like this giant, weird baby demon monster at the end. And when you and your dragon kill it, you get, I guess it kind of causes this dimensional rift explosion, and it transports you to like 2000 year Tokyo, like the year 2000. And your dragon character actually get shot down and killed by a fighter jet. And that's actually what causes like the black scroll that causes like the virus that leads to Nier, which is a very weird
pretty cool.
connecting the games.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Sam.
Mountain Blade 2.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
Oh,
Is that coming soon?
I have no idea, but I'm looking forward to it.
Ubisoft.
What's For Honor? Is that the one that's coming out by EA?
No, that's by Ubisoft.
Ubisoft.
I was really hyped for that game, but then I got into the alpha, and I lost all hype for that game after about 10 minutes of me playing it.
Really? It doesn't play well?
It does play well, and you know, the combat system is actually pretty interesting the way you control it. But I'm wondering how long it will be fun for. The novelty wore off for me after about 15 minutes, so I'm wondering what they're going to do with a full-sized game. To keep it interesting, I guess.
Yeah, that's it, man. I just want to know. I want to play that whenever it comes out. Other than that, I have no idea. Nothing on my radar.
All right. So that was it. Anybody wants to make a sweeping declaration what their favorite game of the year is?
I think it's safe to say Overwatch for a lot of people.
Yeah. Is it for you?
No, Glittermitten Grove.
Great
Of course.
choice. What a great choice.
No, Overwatch for sure, because it hit a lot of like highs in different genres, and I think overall it's one of those games that everything from the aesthetic to the solid gameplay to even like the reward system it has set up, it's built in a way that's going to keep engaging you and coming back.
Uncharted 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Overwatch is my game of the year as well. And you, Jamie?
I could see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was a good game.
Yep. And I'm not going to ask Sam because he doesn't know and doesn't want to talk about it.
It's a three-way tie between Overwatch, RimWorld, and Glittermitten Grove.
That's actually two more titles than I expected. So
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'll allow that. Thank you so much for tuning in to our 2016 in review. We'll be back on the... I know we took a week off anyway, but we're going to take until the 11th before we're back with the new episode. So until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye. 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 We'll see you then. Bye-bye.